sometimes I'm not, and I get hyped later on, and sometimes right off the bat I'm like, let's fucking go, mate. Let's get right into the game. I need to stop. I'm way too hyped. This is not me. I'm not myself right now. I'm completely gone. I'm in a sitting position, half covered by a thin wool blanket. I cut my cheek in my paw. It's freezing, but I welcome any kind of feeling right now. Even the dull throb hammering away at the back of my head. I'm alive. My heart's pounding in my chest, but I'm alive. I recline again. The sky above me is dark blue, barely visible from beneath the dense tree line. I reckon the sun's about to rise. I rub my eyes, sniffing the air for any sign of the others. I catch a faint whiff of smoke and flowers. You're awake, oh my goodness! I never thought I'd be so glad to hear Cliff speak. Looking the direction the voice came from, sure enough, there's Cliff, Murdoch, and Jebediah sitting around a smoldering campfire. It's a lot more moss than when we made together. There's no sign of the supplies or tents. Do we move? Cliff crawls over to me. His big blue eyes get even bigger. He lets out a delighted squeak before turning. He's awake! Murdoch follows, though rather than crawling over, he just walks. Jebediah stays put, not even glance in my direction. Reaches for a flask and smell the alcohol from here. Well, I'll be. How you feeling, Sam? Takes me a second to process that question. Feeling a lot of things right now. Stretch by my ears. Like I just wrangled a bear and lost. He grins. No hidden meaning behind it this time. Not too far from the truth. We thought you weren't going to make it. It hit your head pretty hard. What happened? Well, our camp was attacked by some manner. He swallows. Some manner of beast. His voice and the way he's trembling is making my head hurt. Calm down, calm down. Draws in a deep breath. Told you our tents and supplies as if they were made of paper. Magic could say to safety, but it was either you or the supplies. I couldn't. We couldn't risk losing you. Puts his paw on mine, then retracts it quickly. You're cold. Taking the corners of the blanket, he drapes over me again. Warm up almost immediately. I'm sorry. I'm just glad you're alive. Cold is a lot is better than dead at any rate. Your luck, Cliff knew how to administer first aid. Weasel scratched the back of his head. It was nothing. So what now? We'll wait until the sun's up. Wish to take a swig from his flask. Then we go back. Back? He's to his feet. We're slow without donkeys, but we're dead without the supplies. Is it even safe to go back? Sam still needs time to heal. I'm alright. On my shoulders near something crack. Are you sure? Red as a fiddle. We wouldn't want your wounds getting infected. Even scrapes confessed in key out in the wilderness. Wave them off. Just a headache. I should have some laudanum in my satchel. Lot of what? Always been bad with big words, but this headache isn't making it any easier. Something for the pain. Frowns. But my satchel's with the other supplies. I suppose you don't have much of a choice then. I do at least have some water in my pack. So much we can fill our flasks once we find the stream again. Can you stand, Sam? I can try. Brace myself against the ground and push up. Sore all over. There's some scratches and scabs on my arm. Cliff watches me with a pained expression, paws balled into fists. Takes me a minute even when I'm on my feet, I don't feel all that stable. But at least I'm standing. Try walking next. Ground's uneven and the dirt shifts underneath my paws. Every step is a gamble. Doesn't hurt. Think I'll be okay. And you can lean on me. I'm so, no, not doing that. He smiles at me. Thanks. Don't mention it. But the next time you decide to jump in front of some large creature, do tell me first. It might be used to taking a pound, but my back sure isn't. I can't always be there to carry you. Start heading out when the sun comes up. It's still cool out, and the woods are still dead silent. There's less small talk. In fact, barely anyone's saying a word. Cliff's eyes never leave me, and Murdoch stays close to pick me up when I stumble. Once I'm used to putting my feet, I would pick up the pace just a little. Jebediah, for once, and walking in front. He doesn't make eye contact when I look over my shoulder. Carry me this far? Murdoch chuckles. It was a group effort. You're pretty heavy, you know that? Jump my head. And that thing didn't follow you? No, wait. Spiker Jebediah the Moses' voice. After it took you down and grabbed one of the donkeys, dragged one of the donkeys deep into the woods. Winces. Took its head clean off. And the other donkey ran away. Wasn't a pretty sight. I would imagine. Son of a bitch. He pauses, tapping his chin. Kinda strange, come to think of it. Could have killed all of us pretty easily, so why didn't it? Maybe it was just looking for a quick meal. Shrugs. Any of us would have sufficed. We got more meat in our bones than those donkeys combined. Did you want to die? Not in this particular way, no. I'm just having my equipment survive the ordeal. Perhaps the creature meant to frighten us. You think so? As you said, if it meant to kill us, it had ample time and strength to do so. It's just a thought, of course. I've not heard any stories or legends regarding rat-like monsters in the region. It wasn't a rat, though. It was, I saw it. It was more fox-like. Did you see anything, Sam? I remember I saw it and it's drawing blanks. All I can remember is that nightmare, and I'd rather not think about that again. I got knocked out before I could get a good look at it. Strange. If we hadn't almost gotten ourselves killed, I would have said it bears investigating. Perhaps the Mercedes will know more. Do you know anything, Jebediah? If I did, you'd be the first to know. His tone's surprisingly biting. I yawn. Must have been out all night, yet I'm exhausted all the same. Or are we going the right way? We should be. Look. Points to a large tree on the side of the path. An X is etched into the bark, no doubt marked by claws. We marked some of the trees in the way so we wouldn't get lost. Jebediah tell you to do that? Murdoch whispers again. It was Cliff's idea, actually. I raise a brow. Jebediah's been awful quiet ever since last night, even for him. Can you blame him? Not at all. I mean, every man's allowed to mourn in his own way. Somehow that makes me wonder if there's anyone out there mourning or even looking for Huxley. He must have had a wife, family, someone who cared for him despite everything he did. Jebediah's our compass in these woods. We're like head that shake without him. I got ears, you know. Murdoch seemed to what he said, ears pinned to his head. Terribly sorry. Jebediah passes us, his eyes are unfocused, and he smells of whiskey. You okay? Certainly doesn't look it. Don't think he's in much of a state to lead anyone right now. We're getting close, any minute now. We reach a fork in the path. Jebediah takes a step forward, staggering. His mane is messy. The difference between him now and yesterday is like night and day. Cliff's already past him, walking over to one of the trees on the left side and runs his fingers up the bark. Strange. This doesn't make sense. These trees should be marked. He eyes Murdoch. I marked him, all right. Don't think I'll forget. Damn near ripped a claw or two off doing it. Jebediah sighs, rubbing his temples. We don't have time for this shit. He heads down the path to the left and motions for us to follow. In spite of the sun rising, it isn't getting any brighter. Foliage is getting thicker, blocking out more and more of the morning sun. It's as though it never rose in the first place. That's a fucking tasty way. Oh, I love that. That could actually be a really creepy horror story. In fact, I think yes, the sun vanished. It's basically the sun just disappears. Even the local wildlife is getting quieter the deeper we go. Before long, we get to another fork in the road. This time we go right, passing a large rock. There are no marks in the trees in front of us. When I ask Jebediah, he insists we're going the right way. So we keep walking down winding paths. Bushes and weeds have completely overtaken some of them. Even for a forest, it feels abandoned, lost as if we shouldn't be here. What happened last night only makes that feeling much worse. We're hungry and tired. Our clothes are covered in stains and dust. The slightest noise that I was looking around in a panic. I hate to say it, but I almost wish I was back in Echo. Starting to miss Cynthia. Wonder how she's doing right about now. What she'd say if she saw me here. What she'd say if she knew I've been planning to run. Maybe she already knew. Voices from my dream were still whispering in my ear. Part of me is starting to think they were right. We decided to take a little break after a while. It's getting warm but not any brighter. We rest about empty Cliff's flask of water when the weasel speaks up. We need to head back. I hate to say it, Jebediah, but we're lost. Jebediah furrows his brow and purses his lips. We can't be lost. It was this way. We've been walking for over an hour now. I don't think we're getting any closer than when we started. The horse takes a step in the weasel's direction. Oh boy, the homoerotic tension, everybody. There's gonna be some sexy wexies. I am so sorry. Wow. I mean... I'd do some not safe for work things with Jebediah. I'm just saying, I know this forest. Clearly not as well as you think you do. What am I even paying you for? Think you can do better? I know so. I'm taking a step toward Jebediah. This could get ugly fast. And by all means, lead the way. At the very least, I can do so without getting yourselves killed. Excuse me. The hole in this flask is shaking. Cliff looks at it and sees his nose twitching. Is that alcohol? Leave me alone. Have you been drinking all this time? He sighs. I better flash, Jebediah. Horse grits his teeth. Hand me the flask. Murdoch gets off the rock, is sitting on and sits between the two, holding up a paw. Oh boy. Oh boy, the fox be angry. Oh, fuck you. I am so sorry. No, I'm not. I'm really not. Calm down, both of you. Find one get us out of this damn mess. Jebediah, give me the flask. Horse grunts. He hesitates. Finally hands it over. Now instead of thinking problems, let's think solutions. Wait, hold on. His nose twitches. Do you smell that? Sniff the air. Next to me, Cliff does the same. Smell trees and flowers. Sniff again and catch something else this time. It's faint, but I smell ash and smoke in the wind. We're not alone in these woods. Someone must be nearby. Could be trouble. Murdoch sniffs the air again and walks off, begging us for us to follow. Yeah, I would imagine a fox would have a really, really good sense of smell, considering they're canine. But they're vulpine, but you know, it's like whatever. We push through the shrubs and past trees, going off the beaten path. The smell of ash and burnt wood is getting stronger. This is it. Stay close. Put myself between the source of the scent and Cliff, burying my claws again. No matter what we end up finding, I'm not getting taken by surprise this time. Step into the clearing. Okay, tense. There's a small campfire at the center. By the looks and smell of it, it wasn't put out that long ago. Next to it is a group of 4 tents that I reckon could fit just about one person each. One of them's got patches sewn all over it. So that's so fucking cool. Oh, that's so cool. It actually looks like there's like different patches of fabric sewn into it. I fucking love that. The details, the little details are what make games like this. I'm telling you. Bags are haphazardly strewn across the clearing. Some of their contents spilling out on the forest floor. No doubt there's enough supplies here to feed a small group. No sign of any wagons, though. Do you see anyone? Not yet. Good, I've had it up to here with monsters. Keep your voice down. Claw still bare, just in case I walk into the camp. A tingle runs down my spine. Camp this deep into the woods can only mean trouble, right? Campfire's still smoking. Whoever this camp belonged to must have left in a hurry. Maybe we aren't the only people who'll fall victim to whatever that creature was. Jebediah comes up behind me. I recognize that tent. His voice sounds urgent, scared almost. Runs past us, to the patched up tent in the middle of it all. Without waiting for us, he opens the flaps. And he looks back at us. There are no words coming out of his muzzle at first. Only a pained grimace. Then, it's empty. Buries his face in his hands. Wait. We gotta look. He can't have gone far. Who are you talking about? Avery, he's here. I have to find him. Faces through the tents, looking at each and every one of them. Avery. Says nothing, just nods. His breathing is irregular, frantic. Doctor's here. Why? As I walk past the tent, I notice marks on the forest floor. Start at one side of the campfire and lead to the forest. What little plants that would be flattened and crushed beyond recognition, and kneel down next to them. I found some. The rest of the group joins me shortly. These marks. They're drag marks. Someone must have gotten carried away. The finger over them. They ain't wide or deep for that matter. Fairly straight, too. Whoever got dragged was thin, light. Besides, there wasn't much of a struggle. Let's not come to any hasty conclusions. Maybe they were carried to safety. Even if that's true, safety from what? We look off into the woods. Trees are so dense we can't see too far out. We need to move. There's a rustling noise off into the distance. Prick my ears up. More footsteps. Leaves and twigs crunching. Found a weapon. Scan the trunks for anything. End up selling for the piece of wood near the campfire. Footsteps sound closer, coming from the direction of drag marks. They ain't as heavy as the ones I heard last night. There's more of them. It's people. That's that a good or bad thing? I ain't sure yet. Stay close. Jebediah and I scramble back to our feet, get in front of Murdoch and Cliff. I hear a man's voice come from behind the trees. Is it safe out there? See me in the bushes. Another man, his voice much deeper, replies, Hold on, there's people. People? What do you mean, people? I said what I said. Quiet down. Something hits the floor next to me. Jebediah has dropped the branch he was holding. Avery, are you? Deeper voice answers. Jeb? 1 second, goddamn branch that tear my antlers off. Fucking hell, I can't keep voices straight for 2 fucking seconds. Jesus. The more I listen to it, the more I feel I know that voice. My freep on the back of my head where the stitches had been. The panting, heavy-set elk comes stumbling out of the woods moments later. His glasses look a little like Cliff's. They do, don't they? Oh my god. Such... I don't know what I was gonna say. Funny! Everything clicks into place when I see those brown eyes and those big antlers. Last time I saw this man, he was poking out with a needle in the back of my head. Taking the edge, his breath parried straight at me. Behind his glasses, his brown eyes go big. Sam! Dr. Avery. Ave, it really is you. Jebediah walks up to him without saying a word. He embraces the much larger elk. It's good to see you. Awful nice to see you too, Jeb. Wish it was under better circumstances. Avery stares on, rattled, but continues the hug nonetheless. Make eye contact once more. Cheeks feel red hot about now. Hope he doesn't mention the injury. Jebediah is right. It's good to see someone familiar in this godforsaken forest. And the Burns boy, too. How to die. I'm sorry. That's not the phrase I was thinking of. It's what's that back? Not whatever. Fucking hell. Yeah. Avery, let's go, Jebediah. Horse wipes his eyes with his sleeves. There's wet streaks on them when he lowers his arms again. Quite the odd posse you got here. Who's the short fella? Short? He's a customer I'm taking to the settlement. Oh. Pardon, sir. Didn't mean to offend, all. Rather on edge right now. This seems offended all the same. Oh no. He has a thing about his height. That's really fucking cute. You can come out. We're friendless. Kit Fox ducks out from behind a tree. Can't be older than 20, I'd reckon, though. A baggie under his eyes make him look 40. He's looking rather athletic, though I ain't sure whether the bulk under his shirt is fur or muscle. Large bear follows suit. He looks about the same age, a gentle, worried expression on his face. What happened here? I'd tell you, but you had me put in a madhouse. Was it some kind of monster? How'd you know? Because the same thing got to us. Jeb closes his eyes. It killed Doris off, Dave. Avery's quiet for a moment. He takes a step back. We're missing a man, too. He was tending the fire when... He looks at the drag marks. We were looking for him, but he's nowhere to be found. Whatever it was didn't leave any tracks, no blood either. It's like he never existed at all. He talks to Avery in a language I don't understand. Avery responds effortlessly. I hear a small squeak behind me. You're with the Visita! Ah, so that's what that was. Cynthia's only ever taught me some of the dirty words. Of course. You know the language? Only a little. I'm researching the Visita for my thesis. We're on expedition, but our journey so far has been a complete and utter disaster. We only survived by the skin of our teeth last night. That explains why Sam here looks more blood and bruised than a miner after a tunnel collapse. You know him? Of course I do, he's a patient of mine. But he silently prays to bring up the stitches. He's one of the few who can place me on the day I killed Jack. Gotta change the subject. What were you doing here in the woods, Doctor? Sisters of the Bear and Fox. These three? Here's his throat. These two are fishermen. Every 2 weeks or so, they come to Echo to sell their wares on the market. When they had a fish, they head home. My folks live in these here woods, so I tag along most of the way every now and then. Never had much trouble until now. Forest's usually peaceful. Shakes his head, sitting down by the campfire and reaching for nearby leather rucksack. We should take what we can carry and leave before whatever that was comes. I don't know what fucking voice to give this dude because he does. I don't know. You saw what it did to Sheila Avery. I'm giving them a fucking weird voice because why the fuck not? They're not important. They're just a fucking one-note person that's probably gonna disappear soon. So weird voice it is. You saw what it did to Sheila Avery. I'm not dying because of some strangers. I say we stay here for now, at least until it's brought out. Avery turned to us. The folks best stay put too. We have to get back. Our supplies, my notes. No notes are worth getting killed over. You don't understand. Without those notes, my life might as well be over. This expedition was the culmination of years of research into Misthater culture. On the verge of tears. If I lose that research, I cannot hope to finish my thesis and... Quiet down and listen to me, kid. Save for a sniffle, Cliff goes dead silent. You ain't getting anywhere like this. You're hungry, tired. He looks at me. Wounded. Your notes and supplies ain't gonna just up and walk away from you. I don't know a thing about that creature that attacked us, but going there in your state... Now that just make it easy pickings. This seems like you're about to speak up, but then relents. Very well. I suppose I am rather peckish. Avery smiles, laying the rucksack to the floor. I'll be happy to trade some fruit for your name, Mr. Tibbets. Clifford Tibbets. Most people around here have taken to call me Clear for less fortunate names. Well, if it is, my name's Avery. No last name, I already got the one. You're a doctor, correct? Of sorts. Sorts? This is gonna sound real embarrassing, but I'm not a doctor the way you expect me to be. Doesn't exactly have a license or diploma, I'm just good at what I do. Ask your friends. Enough from the rucksack and hands it to Cliff. My own stomach growls. Thank you, Mr. Avery. I got enough of those to share. He offers Jebediah a shiny red one. Oh boy, a horse with an apple. I'm sorry. That was fucking weird. Jebediah swats his hand away. I ain't hungry, Ave. Man's gotta eat, Jeb. Shakes the pole on the apple. Jebediah reluctantly reaches out and takes it. Fine. Murdoch and I get one soon after, followed by the fisherman. It's nothing fancy, but right now, hungry as I am, it looks as good as a 3-course meal. Bite into it. It's so juicy I have to wet my muzzle after I swallow. Notice the smell of blood from earlier is still clinging to my torn sleeve. These are great, thanks, Doc. Don't mention it. Got more if you need any. It ain't much, but up with the hunger pangs at least. Sam, mind joining me in the tent once you're done? His eyes go wide once more. He nearly chokes on the apple in his mouth. Oh no. Excuse me. Don't go getting any ideas. I need to check his wounds. I don't have the supplies or equipment to deal with infection here. The stomach deal with an amputation. After that, perhaps we can see if it's safe enough to go see my folks. Their Hogan, their place isn't too far from here. Are you saying we're going to be using an authentic Mercedes Hogan? We've forgotten all about his notes. Authentic? Wonderful! Splendid! Don't think he heard Avery. Barth looking up from the corner of his eye, one brow raised. I have so many questions. Oh, if only had a pen to jot them all down. It's a big bite out of his apple. He'd be most happy to join you. Don't know his voice could go so high. Probably not a bad idea if that creature hunts at night, right, Jebediah? Or his grunts. He's getting back to his old self again. So long as we get somewhere safe before nightfall. Abe's parents are nice folk. If you're looking for information on the Mercedes, ain't no one in the region knows as much as my ma. Don't tell my pa I said that. Cute. Avery's tent is just big enough for the two of us. Even then, his antlers are pressed up against his root, down near tearing holes in the fabric. But it's somewhere private, which is good because I'm not decent right now. Avery's been cleaning my wounds for the past 10 or so minutes, front and back. He's disinfected and applied bandages to my torso, and now most of his attention is focused to the wound on the back of my head. Of course it is. You have a knack for getting yourself into trouble, don't you, Sam? I'm a whore, Doctor. It's not like trouble's a knack for getting into me. It's more... Okay, I read that wrong. Don't get your head hit... Didn't get your head hit too hard if you're still cracking jokes. You know, the little ditty, wiping the back of my neck with a damp cloth. When he pulls it back, it's pink in hue, just like my shirt. It's a damn miracle you survived at all. Heard that one before. It didn't stick from your head again now, did it? There's a cloth down below my shoulder blades, every one of the spots that got scratched up the hardest. I hiss. Gotta keep you on your toes somehow. Believe me, boy, when you've worked in medicine for a while, nothing surprises you anymore. Oh, the stories I have heard about that. Holy shit. The stories I have heard about that. Jesus Christ. You see, my grandfather, my opa, he used to be a medical examiner, like a coroner. You know, he did like autopsies, basically. Apparently, some of the shit he told me. Fucking hell, man! I was too young. I was too fucking young to hear some of the shit he told me. Christ. That's something all lines and work have in common, I reckon. Bet you got your fair share of stories. Lord knows I do. Why, just ask Jebediah. How do you two know each other? Now that story I can share. Brings out the cloth from the bucket. His family owns a ranch not too far out of town. When I was younger, before I came to Echo, I used to spend my summers working there as a farmhand. Pay wasn't great, but back then it was my first job. Meant the sun and stars to me. I've never met a kid as curious as Jeb was. Always asked me questions. At first was, how are you that tall? What are those things on your head, eh? What are they for? As we got older, he started asking me about the Mercedes and what it was like out there. Don't think the boy wanted to be a rancher. It was always off writing his little stories and reading his books. Aww. Aww. Yeah, that's literally me. Fucking hell. Anyway, time went on. You know how it is. Packed up and moved to Echo eventually, but we stayed in contact. Can't really picture him being all that talkative. It's quiet for a moment. Well, trauma does that to people, Sam. He's not as happy as he used to be. Most of what troubles Jebediah happened after I left. Now that ain't my story to tell. If you really want to know, ask him. That's my shoulder, it still hurts. My turn. What got you following a weasel out into the woods? He's a client. Must be some client if Dora's gonna let you out of his sight. He's a rich fella from Batavia. Came here to work on his, fees. He mentioned a thesis. That's it. God save, it's not that hard to say. I don't get you. I really don't. Either way, he's paying, so not tell my actual reason for coming along. Grab my shirt and pants. You might want to throw those clothes away when we get to the Hogan, by the way. They got more holes in them than a Hendrix conch. Okay. Okay, Avery. That's fucking funny. That is legit funny. Whoo, boy. Yes. Okay. And more blood on him than one too. Brought some more clothes with me, but they're with the supplies. We can probably squeeze you into some more clothes of mine. Might be a tight fit, though. Go to my shoulder, his belly, and raise a brow. Nelson laughs. It's a deep, rumbling one that makes the tent quiver. Jeez, that's real nice. I'll let out and let you get dressed. Oh, really, will you? You better, fucker. Can't say it'll stop hurting right away, but at least you won't die. More than I can say for most other men who take a tumble in these woods. Thanks, Doctor. I owe you one. Do you now? The smile turns cocky. Oh boy, do you want to fucking, like, I don't know, have your dick sucked by him or something? Because Jesus Christ, why does every character in this game want to bang Sam? It makes no goddamn sense. Makes no goddamn sense. His glasses slide down his snout a little. I'll have to keep that in mind when we get back. His hand lingers on my side for a bit. Oh my god, I was right. What the fuck? Sam, buddy, what? Wow. Samuel Ayers, you fucking slut. Holy hell. Ben also had an appointment, hasn't it? At least one that didn't involve me fixing you up. Feel my cheeks flush. Right. Wasn't expecting that, but I do remember those appointments very well. He's good with his hand. I don't suppose I have to arrange something. I'd like that, Doc. After you stop cracking your head open like an egg every time I see you. Sooner or later it's gonna turn out scrambled. I love this fucker. I love him. Another pat in the back, he crawls backwards out of his tent. He's being over by dirty shirt and thoughts. I'm sorry. We're on. Me and my sister are on to season 6, and that's when it starts getting bad. That's when it starts getting fucking bad. Honestly, though, the Dorn plot is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. God, I do not give a fucking shit about Dorn. I literally could give a rat. I just fucking hell. It's so bad. Anyway, enough of that. Walking's a whole lot easier when I don't have to do it on an empty stomach. We're leaving the deepest parts of the forest behind, heading a little ways off the trail with Avery now. It's both a blessing and a curse. As the trees get sparser, I start feeling that familiar desert heat again. Oh no. Fuck the desert heat. That makes me genuinely uncomfy. Let me tell you, fuckers, being in the desert is not fucking fun. It feels so unbearable. Because when My aunt and my uncle, they live out on the west coast of the U.S., and they used to live in California, in LA even, and they're not there anymore. They're over in Arizona now, Phoenix, Arizona, I think. And every time I went over to see them, it was something. Which admittedly wasn't very many times, but like we did go down to like the area where Joshua Tree National Park is. I don't even know where that is, but like we went down there. And it was fucking hot, and it was really hot down there. Felt like I was going to collapse and die from just heat stroke, Although I wasn't really old enough to know what that was, really. Typical dumbass kid things. But there were these trees. There were these trees in Joshua Tree, obviously. But like basically, the roots of the tree, you go in them, and it was like natural air conditioning. It was amazing. Avery, walking up front with Jebediah, seems to be feeling a bit better. He's singing, loudly at that. I wish I had half energy he has right about now. Bear and the Kit Fox haven't said a word since we left. Summertime, I'm jumping out and back into your skin. What the fuck? Murdoch, okay. That was a song. Okay. Murdoch comes along for a few bars, and I have to admit, Cliff was right about his voice. Oh, I fucking wish I could hear that. I want to smooch that fox. You know it too, eh? Doug swings his head around, nearly whacking Jebediah with his antlers. Eesh. Oh, favorite of mine. I'm not sure if I've heard it before. I'd love to play it for you when I pause my guitar again. You play? Why, yes, indeed. I tried once, couldn't get far, now with these sausages of mine. Wiggles his thick fingers. So, where exactly do your parents live, Avery? Oh, we're getting pretty close. This far off the main trail? The Hogan's hard to find if you don't know where to look. Keeps out unwanted visitors. Don't we qualify as unwanted visitors? Any friend of mine's welcome. Jebediah looks over his shoulder back at us. Just mind you, man, she'll be fine. Abe's parents are the finest folk in this neck of the woods. Cliff's already shaking at the prospect. This is so exciting! I can't believe I'm about to enter an actual Meseta home! I'm more than worried about him. Calm down, Clifford, you're a researcher, not a tourist. Takes a breath. Murdoch, is your camera still functional? It should work just fine. In layman's terms, everything still clicks the way it's supposed to. Splendid! You're awfully excited about all this, aren't you? Of course, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. For you, yeah, but for my parents, it's their life, Clifford tilts his head. Cliff tilts his head. All I'm saying is, ease into it. Listen what they gotta say when they talk. Can you do that for me? I'll try. Thank you, Cliff. Oh boy. 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 What fun. We walk for about 30 more minutes through the woods before we come upon a clearing. There's a pen of livestock to the left where woolly animals graze. A large round structure sits ahead of us. Looks like a dome covered in earth doorway. I certainly haven't ever seen anything like it. Cliff is making strange noises behind me. Avery shuffles a bit, calls out in a language I don't understand, and the reedy voice of a woman meets it. Door that we don't open, and a very old elk comes out to meet us. Does she have a sprite now? She wears a plain apron, and her hands are red with what looks like clay. She looks back and forth at all of us through her, folds in her brow, grown prominent. And looks toward Avery, speaking slowly and calmly in that language. Avery laughs and replies in a carefree way. She does not return the laugh. Then it cannot be helped. Her action is thicker than Avery's is. I already know Jebediah, but to the rest of you, I am Manaba. My son tells me you met something evil in the woods. You may stay in my home for as long as you like, so long as you give as much as you take. And so long as you don't bring what you met in the woods inside. He disappears into the door. Not a single slaughtering beast amongst the prisons, so we're good. Murdoch crosses his arms. Do you think she was being literal? Horace grunts. Yes and no. She means that the evil in her own heads can upset the harmony in her home. Home is a sacred place. As long as we're calm, she'll let us stay. There's nothing to worry about. So then what am I supposed to do? The fuck? That doesn't reassure me at all. Jeb has a nervous look on his face, too. Cliff and Murdoch don't. One last thing. Make sure you go clockwise in her and leave the Hogan. Why? Because it's like the sun. Oh, so you already know. Well, I believe the idea is that actively moving with the sun bolsters the natural order of the universe. This contributes to harmony. Well, sure, but there's a practicality to it, too. When your home is just one room, going in one order makes it feel bigger. Speaking of practicality, we're gonna go inside. Avery smiles and walks up to the doorway, opening it. This looks hand-drawn. This looks like they actually made it in some kind of art program. I fucking love that. Like, wow. The first thing I see when I pass through is a big fire pit in the center of the room. The floor is bare dirt, but many woven rugs. Most of them line the walls made from branches. So is the ceiling, but there's a big hole at the top letting light in from the outside. Manaba sits on the floor, pushing red clay between a slab and a smooth rock. Another elk sits to the north, handling the threads of a loom. He's big, but he looks very old. He speaks to Manaba again in that language. She responds quietly, calmly, but looks more preoccupied with the clay she's making. The big elk hums to himself. My name's Gad for the strangers among you. Need me to teach them the rules, Pa? He tilts his antlers away from the loom to take a proper look at us through his glasses. Rules? I always forget we have those. The chores are still the same. I'm sure you remember those. Avery scratches his head nervously, as if he's suddenly remembering. Strangers, would you give me your names? Clifford Tibbets, I am so happy to meet your acquaintances. I'm not as bubbly as this one, but charmed all the same. Murdoch Burns. Just saying. Don't know why they're making this so official. And now you're no longer strangers. Neat trick, Still preoccupied himself with his weaving. We haven't had this many visitors in a long time. You can do better than that. This old woman is grinning about something, though my eyebrows lifting. But you'll be closer to finishing than me, and that wouldn't do. Went back to her hands, dunk into a pitcher of water, then to his hands, carefully through the loom strands, carefully. Dawns on me that they're competing. They keep at this for at least another minute with tense concentration until you hear a small rip. Gad sighs and Manaba smirks. Very well, I can't recover from that. Starts looking from expression to expression in the room. I can tell by your faces that you all feel apprehensive. I'll trade stories for stories if that to help with that. He looks to Jeb and his two sons, then the two fishermen. Tell me what happened in the woods, but do not speak of any death. Jeb looks upset, but Avery cleared the silence. I was coming to see you both, but for these two, it started as an ordinary fishing trip. We were ambushed by the river and one of our party was taken. We thought we saw the beast that did it, but seems every person saw something different. I saw a vast, greedy fish that flopped like a mud skipper, only faster than any I've seen before. Interesting. Why is that what you saw? But its big, milky eyes looked diseased. We met this group near the riverside. Jeb told me his wagon got attacked and he lost his jennies. Same thing happened to us, more or less. Were you folks traveling from the north? South from Echo. Gad stops waving his crush and meets Jeb's. You don't usually have problems coming that way. Usually don't. Enough do, though. What was different this time? Jeb looks like he's thinking. The marks in the trees weren't there anymore. Reliable landmarks weren't the same. Okay, another weird voice time. One of ours said that the trees looked different, that they could see things that shouldn't normally be there. Try not to get too descriptive. We have always told travelers to the north, to fish to the north, not the south. I know that. Fucking hell. There have not been problems until now. Flesh forgets, soil doesn't. She pulls the red clay from his slab and puts it in a certain bowl, pulling it into the sides. Something relaxing about her pushing the clay and folding it and spinning slowly, almost like it's a dough. Wish her words were just as relaxing. North? You know, I've noticed that there aren't many Masada people live in Echo. There's a few. And this one. He jerks his head to his son. Harry looks a little flustered. There's work there that pays well. I still think not enough for the risks. Can't help but feel this is a sore spot. Reminds me how Cynthia won't talk about it either. We avoid going there to sell, even with all the buyers. There are too many evil stories about that land, such as that we don't like to talk about it. So then why are we talking about it? Because we are afraid for you. Yoke looks at his wife curiously. I am not afraid for him. He is strong and intelligent. Our fathers were great warriors, Manaba. She says and makes God's brow furrow. Avery winces. This boat is ready for firing. She dusts off her apron as she stands, looking around the crowd of people and waving. Goodbye. Near Cliff making noise. Might I watch this process? Yes. Picks up several clay bowls and hands them to the weaselews. Hands quickly fill up. Looks terrified of dropping any. Don't think he's going to be participating. Follow. The look of fury follows out the door. Murdoch gives me a look. I have to say this. Lex leaves the building. Avery, his two companions, and Jeb sort of look at me. What? Mind drawing them? Some air of anticipation like they want to talk to Gad in private. Don't have to ask twice. Thanks. Walk out the door and see Murdoch, Cliff, and Manaba huddled around what looks like a small pit in the ground. So, you let the embers burn for hours for stacking the ceramics, and then you pile on more wood to light a second fire to bake the clay. Extraordinary, just extraordinary. You speak very fast. I'm sure every piece is to be treasured. These are just for when we eat. Practical pieces. I consider them art. Not art. Cliff hums. Surely you must admit there's something sacred to this, yes? All things natural are sacred. I think what you call art you put into a room and you'll have people look with just their eyes. In a matter of speaking, yes, for the sake of public awareness. What we make, we use, or we sell, or we trade. The act of making influences respect. Respect for making turns into patience. Eyes alone do not teach patience. Looks at me, a Murdoch. You will both bring me 2 logs from the pile. Looks at Cliff. You bring me 5. Why do I have to bring more? They're bigger than me. They have shared more of themselves by their silence than you have with your words. Jeez. Fucking hell. She's almost fucking out. Well, I mean, obviously, that's par for the course of my channel. Cliff grimaces, but he doesn't argue and walks out to the log pile with determination in his eye. Well, that actually worked. Maybe I should tell Cliff to go make a fire pit more often. 2 logs coming up. I get the pile, I whistle. These are chunky. Murdoch looks at the pile and says at a one-note laugh. It's like if your thighs are made out. Oh my god. Cliff isn't paying attention to us and hefts one of the logs, pans as he carries his first one back to the fire. Bend over and pick up 2 logs and hold them both over my shoulder. Logs are long, armly shaped, and even I feel winded by their weight. Murdoch looks at me with some skepticism. I think I'll do these one at a time. Probably wise. I wink and he just me with the look. Set the logs down by the fire, feeling a crunch in my body from the sudden decrease of all that weight. When Cliff and Murdoch's first log arrives, she puts them in the embers, stacking them over the powder in a triangle formation. The wood is so dry that it doesn't take long for the logs to smoke. By the time Cliff brings his last log, he's heaving hard and flame takes to the wood. Smoke gets thick enough to look cloudy. 4 hours. She stands talking back to the front door at the Hogan. Oh boy. Oh, it's night now. Okay. Cool. When I go through the doorway again, I see that Jeb and Avery's group are sitting in a row against the wall, discussing something in a low voice. Gad is stoking the fire in the center of the room, and Manaba is pouring what looks like a small amount of oil from a jar into a big cast iron pot. Did you bring fresh fish? The bass was big today. Help me clean them. We'll fry them with the bread. Peppers too. We'll eat in 1 hour. An hour? Why don't you tell a story while they wait? Elk crosses his arms and tilts his antlers. Could you tell a story about Echo? Wow, Sam, why would you... I thought you hated the place. Actually, this is a really good moment in this route. I mean, honestly, it's one of the best in the game. His lips purse. We said that we don't speak about that land. I know, I was just curious why. Do they know things they aren't willing to talk about? All you need to know about that land is that it's unnatural. But what does that really mean? If you ask again, I will have to take that as an attack upon our home, and I will have to ask you to leave. Mood the room shifts from something lively to something more tense and quiet. Didn't mean to start even if these people know something we don't. Maybe it's possible they could help us. You seem to think that we hide secrets. The truth is that part of what protects us is knowing little about evil things. I can tell you only one story about Echo, but it does not involve the unnatural. At least not directly. The real boundaries of that land have been known to my grandfather's grandfather, not the men who think in maps and railroads. Near the year 1600 in your calendar, it said that a band of warriors found locations where Mother Earth would cradle them and Father Sky couldn't be blotted out. Bonfires were their beacons. The chanting and the singing roused their spirits. It said even our most foolish warriors could whistle at these places at night with nothing to fear. I don't necessarily believe that part, though. You're not supposed to do that, you know. Gives away your position. But as they said, it was difficult to fear death when you were surrounded by loved ones. Oh, right, whistling. Whistling attracts... yeah, that's a common superstition. That whistling when you're alone attracts the devil. But the funny thing about these places is that they weren't keeping track of them. They had no reason to keep track of them. To be Meseta means to wander. Our people weren't used to staying put. Staying put is more of a modern thing. Access to food keeps changing. But sometimes it was known that the best thing to do was to leave your home behind and start anew elsewhere. These bonfires were more a nod to peace of mind than anything else. So these warriors made many bonfires in their time. And so did their children. And so did their children's children. New ones are made by younger people from time to time, but you can still find the sites of a lot from the old ones. Eventually, our people did have to start paying attention to maps and borders. Oral history would always be more important, and we had that too. Conquerors came with flags telling us where we couldn't couldn't be. And not just one flag either. No, there were many flags. But that's less relevant. What was relevant was that maps and borders became necessary to avoid wanton death. My father, who was a descendant of one of those original warriors, or so he said, kept a lot of these maps and updated them as they changed. Usually his concerns were the locations of the hostile armed colonies, but he had a habit of marking down the bonfires over the years. I think it was just a thing to put his mind at ease. Just a thing to do. But over time he felt less at ease, because he found thousands of those sites. Gad reaches behind him and opens a wooden trunk. He rifles through some cloth and some satchels, and he pulls out a cylindrical container. He looks to be a folded piece of animal skin and starts to unfold it on his lap. And here is one of the most just fucking awesome reveals in the game. Like, I love this. Fucking love this shit. It's so good. I see drawings of rivers, names of places and topographies, but the other things I see are little red X's marked on the skin. So many little red X's. Strange that when you look at so many the fires put in a map, they never appear inside the circle. What the fuck? What the fuck? It's quiet enough in the room to hear the insects outside right now, but Murdoch's making a clicking noise. Turn to look at him. It's the sound of his teeth clicking together inside of his mouth. He's shaking. On a map, the people in Echo say that the border of their territory looks like a strange shape. But the Meseta know that it is a circle. Fuck. I love this. I love this so much. And in case you're wondering where they are, right there, that black X right there. But yeah, I love this. Oh, it's so cool. Okay, so that's enough for today, guys. I know this one's short as well. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done for the day. So, hope you enjoyed watching this video or whatever. No, I enjoy making it. See ya, fuckers. Bye.